Good morning and welcome to the Underbrush, a Liger Studios podcast where we uncover the secrets of marketing. I'm Dakota Ward, I'm your host, and I'm joined here this morning by two guests. I got John Derucki and Gina Lee from Derucki Construction. How you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Doing very well. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Beautiful day.
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of the day, which one of you left the AC on last night with the window open? Because it leaked out and it's freezing out there.
It was John. He's hot-natured.
Yeah. Because I woke up and I was like, all right, what do I got to put on today? And I looked at the weather and it goes 33. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to pull out a jacket. Yeah. I thought it was April showers, not April freeze bringing flowers. But anyways, guys, this is going to be a fun show. We're going to get into it here in just a second, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves to the viewers. Let us know a little bit about who you are, maybe your background. So John, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Gina.
Okay. John Derucki. I've been in business with Derucki Construction for, I think this is going to be our 16th year. Yeah, so it goes quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes really fast. But, you know, small town guy, grew up in a little town called Anderson, Indiana.
Okay.
You know, did all the things I was supposed to do, I think.
Are you a Hoosiers fan?
The movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I mean, you have to watch that every Thanksgiving where I come from. But yeah, that was how I grew up. Always playing basketball. Grew up, joined the military, came back, met the high school, married the high school sweetheart.
Oh, wow.
Became a Purdue guy, even though I like Hoosier basketball. You know, and started my career in Chicago. I had the ability to move around a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I've worked everywhere from Minnesota to New York to Florida and settled here because actually when I got out of college, I came to Atlanta to find a job. Was hired here, thinking everything would go well. But the job was in Chicago, which is where I didn't want to go, but thank God I did. So it was a great start. So that's a little bit.
All right. Gina, same question.
So I am maybe a bit of an anomaly in the Atlanta area. I was born and raised in Georgia, in Noonan, Georgia, and spent most of my life there, moved to Atlanta, finished up my undergrad at Mercer here in Atlanta.
Yep.
And then when we had children, moved back to Noonan because we needed to be near the grandparents. But I love Atlanta. I have family history here. My background has been in marketing primarily, and I had the opportunity about 4 years ago to get into the construction industry and have absolutely loved every minute of it and have so enjoyed working with John and our team. We have a great team and have some really cool projects that they do. They're, you know, what I loved about Deruki when I was thinking about coming on board was they're just so different in the types of projects that they do. It's not just, hey, if it can come out of the ground, let's do it, let's bid it. You know, it's strategic about the things that they do, and so it's been a great time here at Deruki.
I love that. Yeah, you are one of the few. I'm also one of the few. I'm not as close, I think, to Atlanta, but I'm from Cumming. So another
close enough.
Georgia native. There's not a lot of us, but very cool. All right, so then you guys can tag team this question, or John, if you want to do this, but give us the background of Derucki Construction and how that got started, and then how you guys kind of made your way into it.
Yeah, a great question. You know, 16 years ago, a friend of mine who I had worked with at another local construction firm, had gone to work for a developer and had been there for a few years and you know, just approached me one day and said, hey, have you ever thought about going into business for yourself? I think we have a lot of opportunity out there. You know, if you were going to do it, now would be a good time. I think that we could work well together. You know, so I sat down and thought about it. I mean, and it's not an easy decision to make.
Sure.
I had my oldest getting ready to go off to Clemson, knew that the second one was right behind him, so it was very risky. You know, but you sit down, you crunch the numbers, you crunch them again, you keep cutting everything in half, and you don't know whether you're going to jump into 30 feet of water or 3 feet. And I took the leap, and it hit 30 feet of water, and never stopped paddling.
Yeah.
And it's been, to me, the thing that was the final decision, having worked outside of the Atlanta market for so long, what I found was that there were not that many contractors in Atlanta that tried to fill a certain niche. And that was, don't try to be all things to all people. Go out, decide what you want to do, and just be really good at that. And that's what we've done. I mean, we've just focused on the type of jobs that we want to build. If it's difficult, if it's challenging, be that budget, be it schedule, be it constructability, that's what we look for. And it's what we solely focus on. If we get a set of drawings or an opportunity to come in our office, and I look at it and I go, there's 400 other guys that could do this, then that's not for us.
Sure.
And that's how we kind of decide what's good for us and what's not.
Wow.
And it makes it fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to get up and go deal with people who don't want to have a relationship. If you want to go out and do public hard bid stuff, then hey, low man wins, and you go into it and there's no relationship at the beginning or the end.
Yeah.
And to me, life's too short for that. So we stay away from that kind of thing.
I agree. And the more, the farther I get along in my career, the more I hear that exact scenario is, why work with people that you don't enjoy being around?
Right.
The money's out there. Money's just money, and it'll come, wherever you go. But the path to get there, you want to enjoy life. You want to enjoy the people that you're around. And so, my dad was the first one to tell me that. He's like, I don't work with people I don't like anymore.
Right.
Did that for a long enough time to where it was too stressful, too much to come back on, myself, being him, and saying, you know what, I don't have to work with you. Like,
right. Oh yeah.
I can find somebody else to make a drawing for. But you touched on something that I think is interesting, and I think this is true in all aspects of life, is not spreading yourself too thin. And so getting to a niche market, something that you can be really good at, versus finding 5, 6, 7, 8 things that you can be okay at. And I think I've told this story before on the show. Is one of my friends growing up. He's one of those kids that was just good at everything. Like you probably know somebody like that.
Oh yeah.
My little brother's like that, and it's very annoying. I somehow still beat him. I think it's the older brother effect, but he's definitely better at me in most things. But this kid was his very first day playing basketball, goes out, scores like 25 points in 7th grade, and I'm like, I've been playing since I was 3 years old. I've never scored more than 20 points.
Yeah.
And his mom gave him that same bit of advice. She said, you need to pick one of these 3 sports that you're playing, so you can be really good at that one, because right now you're good at these, but you can be great at one. And he ended up dating John Smoltz's daughter, and John Smoltz said, this has nothing to do with you dating my daughter, but I want to sponsor you because you are really good at baseball, and I think you could be great. He didn't take it because he didn't really care much for baseball at that point in his life, but it showed that once he put his mind and his efforts towards one thing, that the doors were wide open.
Oh yeah. I mean, if anybody was going to go into business and I was going to give them some advice, I mean, that would be one of them. Chase what you're passionate about, and 2, if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. I mean, just you are. I look back and I think in the beginning, I did all those spreadsheets. Is this going to work? You have to set them aside, and it doesn't become about the money. And then so you make the decision, you do it, and you go forward. And I can tell you from that moment on, you don't chase the money. You chase the relationships. You chase what is right. You always do what is right. And if you do that, then whatever profit was intended to be made will be there when you're done.
Sure.
But there's other things that are more important than the money.
Right.
So I would think that if you got into business because you wanted to make more money, you'll probably fail. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense, right? Because if you go into business with the intent of, hey, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make a bunch of money, but I don't care how I do it.
Right.
You've crushed those relationships, and you might have made a bunch of money that one time, but now you don't have those relationships to go back to and say, look, we did a good job together and we worked well together.
Right.
So they're not going to do business with you anymore.
Right.
So you made money in the short term, but in the long term, you've really burned yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think John and the team do a great job of, is making sure that, there are sometimes when clients bring us projects that are maybe not the most lucrative from, the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at it from A to B, but because of the relationship, we will take on things for our clients because we want to be full service. And I think that really speaks to the commitment of the relationship, or to the relationship, as opposed to just trying to get projects in the door, sort of a thing. Someone was asking me the other day, are you enjoying working at Deruki? Absolutely. And it's like, well, have you found a lot of projects? And I said, well, I don't chase projects. I'm chasing people. I want the relationship. We want the relationship. And it makes the relationships that you endeavor and that you grow so much more authentic and organic. And it's not this contrived, like, oh, I need to know this person. It's like, I want to, and I want to know how we can help them. And it just is, it's very authentic, and that's something I can get behind.
Sure. And people are probably smarter than we give them credit for,
Sure.
and they can read into that kind of thing where this guy's just trying to make a buck, or this girl is really trying to make a relationship here and build something. And so I'm in sales myself, so I have to be careful with how I approach it, because I read something a long time ago, and this changed how I approached going into a sales event. Is when I close it, I don't think of it so much as I closed a deal so much as I opened a new relationship. And so when you have that mindset in construction and marketing and architecture or whatever the field that you're in, it really changes your day to day.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's I would never categorize myself great at sales. To me, sales is pretty simple.
Yeah.
And I really don't know that much about it, but I do know this is I can go into a meeting, I can describe to people who we are, what we're about, how we do business, and I'm very honest with them. If this is what you're looking for, then I think we could be great partners. But if this is not what you're looking for, ask me who on this list of other competitors, tell me what you're looking for, and I'll tell you who to pick.
Yeah.
But if you're not looking for this, then don't pick this.
Yeah.
Because if it won't work.
Yeah, it's the age-old triangle where you can get fast, cheap, or good quality.
Right.
You can only pick two of the three.
Right.
Because if it's going to be fast and cheap, it's probably not going to be good quality.
Yep.
But if it's going to be expensive and fast, then you lose a little. Maybe I mixed that up. I did that backwards. But you understand, it's
right.
You can only pick two of the three. And so if you're really looking for the cheapest, that's probably not us.
Yeah.
We're going to do good quality, and we're proud of our work.
Right.
It may take a little longer to get there, but you're getting your money's worth.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so John, I wanted to ask you, as a business owner, for 16 years now, how did you get into that, and what are some lessons that you learned from the past, maybe from some previous business owners, some previous bosses, things like that?
How did I get into the construction business, or
just as a business owner?
I think a little bit of it goes back to when I was younger. I grew up in an area that was very union environment.
Okay.
Always wanted to be in construction. Where I grew up, being a very blue collar area, I thought that meant being a carpenter. Well, because it's union and I wanted to be a carpenter, I would have needed somebody in my family to probably have paved the way for me to be admitted to the union.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't going to work because I didn't have anybody like that. So my alternative really was to eventually go to college and get in the construction industry that way.
Sure.
So I think through that process, I always, in the back of my mind, wanted to own my own business at some point. And I think you go through your career and you start putting checks in all the boxes. Man, I've done this and I've done that. And I've worked on big hospitals and I've worked on big regional malls. And you just keep, you finally get to the end of the list and you go, well, there's really not much more for me to go do for somebody else. So am I really good at this? I don't know, but if you jump out there on your own, I promise you're going to find out in a hurry. So I did, and I think the one thing that I probably learned along the way, going back to, probably when I was in high school, was just learning how to be very disciplined. And that's probably the number one thing that has paid off as a business owner. You have to be very disciplined. You have to do the things nobody else wants to do. You have to do them when they need to get done, not when you want them to be done.
Sure.
And some days you just get knocked down, and you got to have the discipline just to get up, keep a smile on your face, and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of good mentors along the way that I could look at and really just model what I was doing after what they had showed me that they would do.
Yeah.
To me, that's priceless.
I'm a bit of a history reader. I think I get that from my dad. He's a history buff himself. His history is obviously more based in architecture,
Right.
but it does have the American aspect of it, of paying attention to our forefathers and things like that. And so, the great thing about history is, and even your own personal history, is being able to look back at the things that worked and scale them up. And the stuff that doesn't work, then get rid of it, because somebody else has already tried it and it didn't
Right.
work.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean sometimes things that were tried can't be figured out in the future. But in general, if you look back at history, the things that worked, scale them up. And the issue I think with today is nobody really reads history anymore.
Oh yeah.
Nobody really reads in general anymore. But being able to take that prior data that's already there and use it to your advantage and to those that are around you and lift them up, I think is just so beneficial.
Oh yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm a kind of a history buff myself.
Yeah.
It's easy to turn on the news and get quickly disappointed. But if you read history, there were a lot of times that are worse than they are now.
Sure.
And I think people would calm down a little bit if they really understood a little more about history and what maybe the country's been through and people have been through. What you see on the news today it's not new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a repeat. Unfortunately, just some of the things we haven't figured out how to fix.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, moving along, I did want to ask you about just the passion behind your business. And Gina, you're there every day and you probably see it firsthand, but just the passion behind doing what you do and being proud of what you guys do. I was just at an event a couple weeks ago for the Masters. So my girlfriend and I I'm part of this men's group where we get together and have some cigars and drinks and good food and just get away from the day to day. But we do a Masters party every year and held it down there at the Works. And,
okay. Yeah.
And I walked by and I was like, wait a second, I recognized that sign, and it was Derucki Construction.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, nudging my girlfriend, I was like, they're going to be on my show in a couple weeks.
Make sure you listen.
Yeah, it's like, tune in, check it out. But yeah, tell us just a little bit about, and I'd like to hear from both of you guys, just the passion that drives you guys each day behind the business.
So sort of piggybacking on what John said, it's construction is our industry. What we're really focused on is people, and we want to to be a partner. We want to be a help. And so, when John was talking about, if this is what you're looking for, we're a good partner. If you're not, let me help you pick someone who fits what you're looking for. He's not going to be a yes man. Our team is not going to be a yes team all the time. We're going to tell you, hey, this, you might be, as John likes to say, walking off a cliff. We're not going to let you walk off a cliff, right? And so for me, what creates a passion is genuinely we are there to partner and to help, and we do get to choose the projects that we want to work on, and they're really neat, cool projects. And Fox Brothers that you were mentioning, that's not our first job with them, and there's a reason why it's not our first job with them. And to have that, people talk about the corporate culture. We are a smaller office, but our culture is very much team driven. We want to partner, we want to grow relationships, and we want to make good decisions for our clients. And when you just pull all those elements together, it makes me very passionate about finding new people to be friends with. That's sort of what I say. I make new friends. It's the business development thing.
Sure.
But when you pull all those elements, it just really creates a dynamic experience for our clients, and knowing that we can service them and help them, and we're going to tell them maybe things sometimes they don't want to hear, but just like your mom or your dad, they have to tell you things you don't want to hear sometimes because they understand more than you. We're there as an expert in the industry, and most of our clients don't work in construction, right? So that is just exciting to me, and I love being able to bring in new friends. And I may not see the fruit of that friendship for 6, 7, 10 years, right? But it's just, I don't know, it's just such a holistic approach, the way we handle, our friends and our clients, and eventually things come back around, and you're able to, it's a great feeling when you can really partner with someone, a business, a client, and help them, and it becomes less about building and more about the people. And I love helping people, so this is just sort of like right in my wheelhouse and something I get excited about.
Yeah.
It's not to answer your question with a question, but when you were younger, did you have a tree house?
I did not. I had a playhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing. Did you have any part in putting it together and making it your space?
That's a good question. I don't know if I had any part. I was probably running in circles in the grass while Dad put it together. But
to me, again, going back to the mentors that I've had, when I was younger, and I'm in the office and I'm working, and I'd look up and I'd see the owner come in, and I'd be like, wow, it's really strange. What? It's 8 o'clock at night. Why is he in here? Or I would be in on a Sunday morning, and you go, wow, he's here. Why is that? Well, Gina knows this because I just came back from vacation, and I came back early. But when I got to my office, it was like, I'm like,
I'm back.
It's that feeling that when you were a kid and you would climb up into your treehouse and you'd be like, this is mine. This is my space. This is where I feel like, I had something to do with putting this together, and you're constantly trying to improve the treehouse.
Sure.
And so looking back, as much, I know more about the people that I work for now than I did when I was there. And because I can look back, and it all comes down to, they were there because they were passionate about what they were doing. They were passionate about the people that they worked with. It's like Gina said, you don't really, it's not about the project. We love building a restaurant for Fox Brothers, but really it's the relationship with the folks at Fox Brothers, with the architect, Zebra Design, who we've done things with. And it's all about that passion and those relationships and wanting to do well for them. And if you do well for them, then you're doing well for your team, and everybody succeeds, and that's the goal. When you're finished with a project, you want everybody to feel like they have succeeded, not just us, but our clients in particular. That is the goal. So I can get on that soapbox all day.
I love it. I can feel it too. And we preach a similar thing here at Liger is, we want to become a part of your company. We become your marketing department. Is really in essence what we do here. So we come into a client who has some gaps that need to be filled in marketing, and we come in and fill those gaps, but as a part of that company.
Right.
So they view us as a part of, Joey Bag of Donuts company, or we look at them as they're now Ligers. Right. And you talk about vacation, it cracks me up because my dad is the same way. We're on vacation, but mom's down at the beach with all the other siblings, and I walk back up into the room and he's sitting there on his computer. I'm like, what are you doing? He's got this big grin on his face and he looks at me and goes, I'm invoicing. And he's just having a blast. Right? And so, he didn't bring his big computer, so he couldn't be drawing, but constantly working. It's constantly building up that treehouse. And the passion there is behind that. And so it's fun to be a part of it. And Gina, I'm sure you're aware and seeing somebody that's so passionate about what they do. For myself, every single person outside on the other side of the wall is very passionate about what they do. And it's just fun to be a part of.
Oh, yeah.
Passion is contagious, I think. Yeah, because I see John's commitment, although I wish he wouldn't have come back a day early. I wish he would have taken his full vacation, but I get it. But when you see someone that's passionate and bare bones, they want to do the right thing for our clients, then I get passionate about that. Our team gets passionate about it. So it is a contagious thing that happens. And leaders are not just there to tell everyone what to do. They're there to bring out the best in people. And I would say John does a great job of that.
I don't know about that. Sometimes your passion can overflow. It can get loud.
Like, man, would you just calm down? It's just a building.
Yeah, you do. It's it's exciting. I'm very lucky. I have lots of friends in lots of different industries, and not every one of them enjoys what they do. Unfortunately, I have never woken up and said, I don't want to go to work today. I've woken up and said, today is not going to be fun.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of meetings that, you're going to have to deliver maybe some bad news. Folks aren't going to like it. And they're tough and you'll get through it. But I have never woken up and said, man, I'd rather just stay home today. It's never happened. So, I'm lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to do that.
And part of that is just starting the discipline early, because, much like how our bodies adapt to what we put them through. We were talking about working out earlier. The more you do that, the more your body adapts to that. But your brain is just another muscle. The more you train it to be disciplined, the more it's going to adapt to that. And so the less you think about, I have to go to work today. And it turns into, hey, I get to do something today. I get to start a new relationship. I get to put a couple bricks together and make a full experience for somebody in a Fox Brothers barbecue.
Right. Oh yeah. I love it.
Well, and then you always have those proud moments. It's, when you drive by a building that you helped bring together. I mean, that's like a proud as a peacock moment, It's just, and what I also love is that you can't say I did that. No one can point out a building and say I did that. It takes all kinds of folks to bring that project to life.
Sure.
And again, going back to the team effort, that to me is just.
Has your dad stopped pointing out the buildings he's designed?
No, it's we stop at green lights, and he's like, "Hey, you see that?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'm kidding.
It's because he's proud of them, right?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
of course.
my kids are tired of him.
Yeah. No, but it allows us to see the passion, and then we're proud of it, and we tell somebody else who tells somebody else, and that's how you get to really the best kind of marketing is word of mouth.
Right.
And so when I'm no longer having to do the work to get the work, if that makes sense, that's the best kind, because I'm proud of my work and they're proud of my work,
Right.
and so they want to tell somebody else about it.
Oh yeah.
But I did want to ask something about before we get into more of a marketing discussion. Is you had said that you had a post several weeks ago, and it was talking about women in construction. And I just wanted to touch on that because I know that it's a predominantly male-run industry, and it has been for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just history, and things change, and change is good. Change is hard. And Winston Churchill used to say, to change is good, but to perfect is to change often. And so, the more we change consistently, the better I think we're going to see things turn out. So I was curious as to what that post is, and then Gina, being a woman in construction yourself, what did that say, and how did that speak to you?
To me, it's kind of interesting. I'll look back over my career. When I was coming out of Purdue, I think maybe there was one female in one class that I took the whole time I was in school. When I got out and started my career, you did not see that many women in project management. It was very rare. Certainly didn't see any in the field. So, I'm kind of trotting along early in the years of my career, and before you know it, I become the father of 2 young girls, which was absolutely wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah.
And I think in our house, we had a mindset from the very beginning that we were always going to tell our girls, you can be anything you want to be. Because when you look back at when my wife was younger, even though women would have professional careers, they were often influenced by their parents to pick up a trade. So that in case things didn't work out, that maybe you had some secretarial skills or you had something to fall back on, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Girls back then, I can remember growing up, were told, girls aren't really good at math and science. Well, in our house, we set out to be completely different. Always told the girls, no, you have to be good at math and science. And so watching them grow up in that kind of an environment and tackling their science projects, and for me, my oldest daughter went to work with me one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had a chance to hook her up with a female project manager. And at the end of the day, she came home and said, well, I know what I'm going to do.
Wow.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a civil engineer. I'm going to go to Clemson. And if I don't get in, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably won't go to college. So, well, you go tell your mother that. And, she did, because she had a mentor who showed her something completely different. And she embraced an organization called Women in Science and Engineering. And as her dad, I wanted to be more and more part of that as she moved through her career.
Right.
Which opened my eyes to bringing on more female project managers and project engineers. And then as that started to happen, you started to see more women in the field. And things are starting to finally open up.
Sure.
And they're becoming business owners and top executives in companies. And, I think that's great. And when I made the post, I kind of looked around the company and said, wow, we have a lot of employees that all have daughters.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex is maybe the only boy. No, Greg has a son, but so we have 2 boys and everybody else has all girls. So we have a vested interest in creating an environment where they feel like they can be part of and that they can grow into, and it's there if they want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be part of that. But that's me being a dad of 2 girls and kind of passionate about that.
Well, and growing up, I had the same experience. I can remember my dad saying to me, "You can be anything you want to be. You could be the first female president of the United States if that's what you want to be. There's no cap on what you can do." So fast forward to high school, one of my best friends, she just thought she would love to be an architect. And I can remember her saying, and it makes me so sad, she would say, "But it's, there really aren't many women architects, and, it's just not practical." So she pursued business instead, which I also pursued, and it landed me in construction. But, I look out now, and there's so many women, and when I say women in construction, it's architects, it's engineers, it's commercial real estate, it's developers. There's just project managers for construction companies, assistant project managers. I mean, there really is no limit to what women can do, and I do have 2 daughters, and so when I think about my best friend saying there are too many men, I'll never make it, and then I look at my daughters, who one said to me, "Maybe I want to pursue interior design," and 20 years ago, I thought that meant just making things look pretty, but I understand now what interior designers do from a construction standpoint, and I'm like, let me find you someone to shadow one day. It's an exciting time for women. We're moving up, but I see some posts. I saw one on LinkedIn the other day, and it said, "Don't say I'm the best woman vice president, say I'm the best vice president," but we do have to acknowledge that women are making strides in industries that have typically been dominated by males. And, I think when we all come together, male and female, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and it makes a dream team.
Sure.
So I think it's the balance. John and I were talking about balance in work and family earlier, and balance is good in any sector. And so it's just great to see, that my daughters, your daughter could say, "I want to be an engineer," and they don't feel like there are any limitations, because we're at a place in time where it's widely accepted to have women in these positions that were previously predominantly male.
My parents gave similar advice. Theirs was a hint different, though. They were, "Do whatever you want to do, just don't be architects." They're both architects, and
That's right. I forgot.
The idea behind that is, if you get told not to be an architect and you want to be an architect, someone telling you not to be an architect is not going to stop you. Because he told, we had some family friends, and he would tell all of us kids that, because it's a difficult business, right? And so if someone telling you not to do it is enough to turn you away, then you shouldn't have been in it in the first place.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies, who got told that every time he came over to my house, because he always wanted to play with Legos and he loved it, he was working for my dad just recently. He just got a scholarship to go to Notre Dame to pursue a further education within that. So obviously he has to go do that.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop him. And so he was able to get into that. And, my little sister is someone that I look up to in just the way that she approaches life. And she has that relationship mentality that we were talking about earlier, and just building up relationships. And so she works in social work, and she works with foster care kids to help provide them better environments and scenarios, and really walk them through life that is, they've been dealt a hard card to deal with. And so, don't let anybody telling you not to do something, let that be the thing that stops you from doing it.
I agree.
Yeah, I wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law, who was an engineer, said, no, you don't want to do that. And he did. In fact, when I was in high school, I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna join the Marine Corps. When I get out, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna become an architect. He was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And he said, you're gonna go in the Army, and then when you get out, you can go to Purdue and you can become an engineer. And I think that'll work better for you. And not knowing much, I was like, well, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was his path, so
That's right.
It worked out well.
Yeah, and it's hard as kids because parents don't mean to, but they can sometimes project on their kids.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times project on their kids. But luckily, my parents have always just been supportive in where we want to go and what we want to do, and helping to provide, maybe a little bit easier roadmap in how to get there, just based on their experiences or their prior relationships and things like that. But my mom, being an architect, has always kind of inspired me because, Dad had his own architecture business. Mom had her own architecture business. Unfortunately, 2008 happened, and we all know what went down there. And so now they actually work together. And Mom is, there's a phrase, I forget where it comes from, but she's old school like the old school. She still draws everything by hand, and it is so impressive when, I'll go down. She's got her little drawing board in the garage, and so she's sitting there, and everything's done by hand, and it looks like it was done on a computer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just so full of talent.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lost art.
It is. It really is.
It's I remember, when I started, you would actually call the architect up if you had a question. And because they drew it by hand, they were intimately knowledgeable with every part and piece. So, they could answer your question on the phone. There was no, writing things down and sending it to them in a letter or a fax or whatever, and waiting for an answer to come back. I mean, they knew it because they drew it, and I kind of miss that.
Yeah, I think my dad misses that too.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean you missed that detail? It was on the dang drawings.
Yeah.
Well, that's too funny. So I did want to switch gears and get a little bit into the marketing aspect side of it, and hopefully uncover a few secrets that you guys have about maybe where you guys are setting yourselves apart differently, and maybe a social media aspect, and signage. You talk about the logo previously when we were on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and what that means behind that. Can you guys dive into that for a second?
Well, the logo's the easy one. To me, the blue and the green represent the best company I ever worked for, and probably the worst company, because my idea was, when I started the company, was I need to take everything that I ever learned that was good and everything that I learned that was bad and put them together and make it just different, make it better. So when you look at the 4 building blocks or buildings that are there, different, one of them is a different color, and that represents to us a group of people breaking away and trying to do things differently, which is really part of the passion behind the business. We're going to tell you who we are, what we're all about. If that's what you're buying, great. If it's not, then by all means pick somebody else. We're going to work on tough, challenging jobs. We're not just going to do the run-of-the-mill stuff. We're going to work with people we like and who like us, so that we can create partnerships. And we're going to have fun along the way. And some of that fun relates to marketing, as we do these kind of, I don't know, not so politically correct Christmas gifts.
Tell us about that. What's that? Maybe you don't want to.
No, like last year we sent out Bloody Mary mixes.
Yes. Very nice, very, very well put together. Very nice wooden box with all the makings of a fantastic Bloody Mary. And John is very clever. And so, do you want to tell him about the card that you put in the box?
Yeah, I mean, we just put a little card in the box that said, hey, it's not a vaccine, but we think it'll help.
I need to get on your Christmas list.
You know, and then, you know, one year we sent out some Moscow Mule mixes with little copper cups and kind of the same thing, Santa's sleigh.
Yeah.
You know, that what was in our colors, company colors, with a mule out front rather than Rudolph or something.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you know, it was like, you know, we work our ass off for you.
That is awesome.
You know, the whole mule thing.
Yeah.
What else have we done? We used to come up with Christmas cards that were fun. We didn't do it last year, but we'll probably do it again this year. One year it was, you know, we took the little scene from the movie Elf.
Oh yeah.
You know, where everybody's working in the little shop, you know. And I'm Will Ferrell down at the end, and and a big guy in a little chair.
Yeah.
One year we did a card that went with the gift. It was from the Christmas Story. You know, when he's licking the pole and getting his tongue stuck on there.
Yeah.
You know, so we like to be different.
Well, and I will say this, talking about, you know, partners and really taking ownership of our clients, and we have one client that we did a special thing for his family, more so than just a drink, because he's not a drinker, and so, you know, we went out of our way to find something that we thought would be nice for he and his family. So we don't just cast a broad net, so to speak, with our efforts. We're very thoughtful and intentional about how we gift to people, because we want it to be something they'll enjoy, number one, and we want it to be effective, right? And so we do other things though. So, you know, social media is one thing for us, and full disclosure, we're working on making that better. I think we've done well with what we've worked with up to this point, but we're getting ready to hopefully step up our game and on that. But John is really great about doing clever posts. You know, he's very clever, and I'm not the most creative person. I'm great administratively, and so we have someone in our office, Maddie, who is, I think she's way more creative than I am, thank goodness, and who's helping us with some of our marketing efforts. But we're trying to make it not just about, you know, a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post, but making it, let's create some marketing around some fun events that we can bring our partners and new friends to, and sort of, maybe it's a little bit different of a marketing plan for a small business. But we're just trying to be more creative, and through marketing create very interactive, intentional events and gifts and posts, and so that everything we do is not just, you know, casting a broad net, like I said, but really being specific about what we want to say, how we want to say it, and how we want to show up in our community. And one of those things that we're going to do this year that we've been working on is giving back. I mean, you know, to me, what better marketing than to give to someone who is not in a position to do anything for you, but it's just something that we want to do, and we'll have more about that coming out, but we're really excited because this is going to be a first for Deruki, and we're looking forward to bringing some of our partners in on this to serve with us and give back to a small school and a community in the city of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that, and again, it goes back to, we want to be different.
Yeah.
I mean, we just, you know, and you know, I don't think it offends people, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't offend people. But I'm sure there are other business owners that might look at something that we put out there and say, I don't know if I would do that, because it's out of their safety zone. You know, they like to be safe, and I don't feel the need to be safe. I really don't. I mean, I want people to know who we are in here. So if we have a little bit of humor, or we're a little clever with something we put out there, then so be it. Then I think I got your attention, and I think you know something about me. You know, it's like the other day a huge, massive rigging, planning, scheduling, coordinating thing to get Fox Brothers at the Works had this humongous custom-made smoker. I mean, the thing weighed tons.
Wow.
And it had to fit into a very tight spot. But you know, we captured a picture of it as it was being hoisted up and over into the roof and into this tight spot. And you know, it's just, to me, it was a quick snap and said, "Hey, love is in the air." You know? Right? Because you know, I mean, when you start smelling, you know, it's the smoker going, and if you're
Gives
around
you all
Fox
the
Brothers,
feels.
you're anywhere near a Fox Brothers, you're instantly hungry. I don't care what time of day it is.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, because I love their stuff, you know, I was like, oh, this is love in the air right
Love
here.
is in the air. That's awesome. You guys said two things that stuck out to me, and Gina, the first was being intentional. And so that's one thing here at Liger. And so at the beginning of the year, we all kind of wrote down a bunch of words of, you know, what's the one word that we're going to really embody for this year? And so we created this really cool graphic. I'll have to get us to somebody out there to pull it up so I can show you guys after this. But one of the words was intentional. Is being very intentional about what we do. And so in marketing, you want to be very intentional about the message that you're trying to tell, the story that you're trying to tell, the image that you're trying to share. And so to take that in tandem with what you're talking about is setting yourself apart and maybe getting outside of the safe zone. You know, we pride ourselves in getting rid of and saving the world from boring, broken marketing. You know, that's our vision and mission here is to save the world from boring, broken marketing. Create some kind of visceral reaction. Love me or hate me, but make me remember you. Because that's what we're trying to do is we want to get the name in here so when they pick up the phone and go, all right, I need to build something, I'm going to call it Derucki Construction because they're the first name that popped in my head because I've seen them consistently online. And that post that he put up was clever enough to make me think, oh, wow, these guys, like, there's a personality there. There's a person there. It's not just another boring company that builds buildings.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to be that guy or gal.
Well, and I think too with just how clever he is and creating different types of experiences to say, here we are, this is who we are.
Right.
I like to put action, and so the marketing, you know, I think sometimes we put marketing in this box. It looks like this and it acts like this, but John and I have a continuous conversation about being different, whether it's in our business development efforts, our marketing efforts, how we interact with our clients, you know, the subs that we work with. We want to be something different, and in that different, we always want to make sure that we're nurturing relationships, whether it is with a client or with a sub. And you know, there have been things I'm like, what do you think about this, John? This, you know, and he said, well, why don't we bring our subs in on this? You know, sometimes we neglect to give them opportunities. We're going to do a little bit of a food drive for the school that I was mentioning. They feed children throughout the year. They feed them during school. They feed them during the summer, and they need some snacks. And so it's like, I was like, hey, why don't we do a little food drive? You know, that would be nice. And John's like, yeah, and let's invite our subs to participate. Like, you know, and so it's just, you know, looking at things, not trying to do what someone else is doing, but trying to do something that's meaningful. And marketing, yes, it has a purpose, and it is to tell your story, and it is to get your brand out there. You want that brand awareness. But if you pack some meaning behind all the things that make that happen, to me, it's just a powerhouse.
Absolutely. We're getting a little pressed for time here, but I did want to give you guys the chance to tell our viewers, you know, what's the best way to get in contact with you guys? Is it phone? Is it email? Is it, you know, through a DM on social media, LinkedIn, something like that? How do they get in contact with you guys? And what are the types of, you know, maybe projects that you guys are looking for?
I'll let you answer that one.
Well, I would love if everyone would call me. No, email is great. Of course, cell phone and our office number. I mean, you can get any of us if you call the office. So, I will say some of the projects that we really love are adaptive reuse and mixed use. I tell people, I think if we had to choose two things, that was all we were going to do, adaptive reuse would be the first and mixed use would be the second. We love interiors, though. There are some smaller projects that we've done that are absolutely stunning. They're not a grand 4-story building. They're this beautiful restaurant with these amazing finishes. And so, I don't know, I love them all, but I do love adaptive reuses. I think we can really shine. We have shined on those.
And so is all this contact information on y'all's website?
Yes, on our website. And mine's easy. It's Gina at DerukiConstruction.com. That's my email. If you can spell Deruki. Yeah. It's really easy. But yes, our website is a great way to see what we've done and to contact us.
I love that. Well, thank you to all of our viewers that got up early this morning and tried to watch us and pay attention. Again, I'm your host, Dakota Ward. You've been watching The Underbrush. I was joined here this morning by John Deruki and Gina Lee. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.